The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime, and there I was again pushing that old squeaky housekeeping cart across the marble lobby of the Rosemont Grand. 3 years I'd been in that Navy uniform name tag, pinned neat housekeeping stitched on my pocket. People passed me like I was invisible, which honestly most days I preferred less chance for them to notice the life I'd lost. Back before life came crashing down, I was a professor at Hudson University. Languages, literature, all that beautiful, brainy stuff. My lectures filled halls. My passport filled with stamps from conferences abroad. Then my husband got sick cancer, and every dollar, every ounce of energy went into fighting it. We lost the fight, and with it, the house, the savings, the career. I grabbed the first steady job I could, cleaning rooms for people who didn't even look me in the eye. That morning felt like every other until I heard this sharp, fast voice cutting through the lobby noise. I turned and saw this tall man, probably early 40s, sleek gray suit, watch, worth more than my yearly pay. He was talking rapid fire in Mandarin to our front desk manager, Tommy Rivas. And Tommy's face was the color of overcooked lobster. He was sweating, fumbling, "Sir, please, I don't," before looking around for help. Then his eyes landed on me. "Hey, you. Maybe you people know Chinese or something." The way he said it, the lazy assumption, it hit me like a slap. But here's the thing, he wasn't wrong. Not because of my skin, but because I'd actually lived in Beijing for 2 years. Taught Mandarin literature, spoke it like I was born to it. I walked over my heart a mix of irritation and sympathy. The man's tone was urgent. His mother had just been admitted to a hospital in Hong Kong. Doctors needed to connect with specialists in Shanghai, and his penthouse suite was the only place with a secure enough connection. But his keycard wasn't working, and every second counted. "Sir," I said in Mandarin. "I understand. I'll translate." Everything stopped. The billionaire's eyes widened. Tommy's jaw dropped. Staff froze mid-step like they were watching a ghost. In a few sentences, I smoothed it all out, explained to Tommy what was happening, got a master key in his shaking hand, and rode the elevator up with them. As we reached the suite, the man he introduced himself as Daniel Lee turned to me and said, "Could you stay? I may need help with medical terms." "Absolutely not." Tommy cut in. "She's housekeeping, not a translator." Daniel's voice went ice cold. "She's the reason I can even speak to my mother's doctors right now. I'm requesting her help. I expect this hotel to accommodate." Tommy backed down. I stayed. For an hour, I bridged conversations across Hong Kong, Shanghai, and New York medical jargon, cultural nuances, moments where words alone weren't enough. By the end, the prognosis was hopeful. Daniel shut his laptop, looked at me, and said quietly, "I don't believe in coincidences." The next morning, Tommy found me in the supply closet. "Lee wants you to handle his room service today," he muttered, avoiding my eyes. Which was odd. I didn't do food service. 20 minutes later, I was in the penthouse setting down a breakfast tray. Daniel was in jeans, a white shirt, looking more relaxed. "Please join me." I ordered for 2. "We have things to discuss." Over coffee, he asked about my background. I told him Professor Linguist lost it all after my husband's illness. He listened, not the polite nodding kind of listening, but really hearing it. Then he leaned in. "I'm building international education platforms. I need someone who understands languages and cultures at a deep level. I'm offering you a position, personal translator and cultural liaison. Salary, benefits, housing, travel." I stared at him. My chest felt tight. I hadn't been seen like that, really seen, in years. I told him I needed a day. That night, I walked the city streets thinking about my late husband's favorite line. "Setbacks are just setups for comebacks." By morning, I called Daniel. I accept. The change was instant. One week, I was scrubbing sinks. The next, I was walking into a glass and steel tower with my own office. His team treated me with respect from day one. I got an apartment the size of my old lecture hall. And somewhere in between meetings and project planning, Daniel and I started noticing each other. It wasn't fireworks, not at first, more like a steady flame that grew. We traveled to Singapore for a huge deal, and I met his parents. They welcomed me like family. Over dinner in their garden, the air thick with jasmine, he said, "You're not just a colleague, you know." Back in New York, he invited me to a Chinese art exhibition. We wandered the galleries talking about history and poetry, and by the time we were walking through Central Park, he reached for my hand. "I'd like to see where this could go," he said. I told him I felt the same. It wasn't just romance, it was partnership. He treated my ideas like gold. When we faced a crisis in Shanghai, government pushback on our materials, he didn't hesitate to take me. In the boardroom, I navigated the politics and language until we not only saved the deal, but expanded it. Over dinner that night, he looked me straight in the eye. "I want you as my life partner in business and everything else." We hit our first big wall when his company's board pushed for an IPO. Some of them called our relationship a conflict of interest. They suggested I step back or we keep it secret. I told Daniel, "Our relationship isn't the problem. It's the reason for our success. If they can't see that we walk." He didn't hesitate. "I'd walk away from all of it before I'd walk away from you." We fought it together, proposed an alternative growth plan. In the boardroom, I spoke about how our combined strengths had built more in 6 months than the company had in 2 years. Daniel stood and said, "We're engaged." Silence. Then a vote, 8-4, in our favor. I became Director of Global Cultural Partnerships. One of our first big initiatives was a scholarship fund. And that's when we got an invitation from the Rosemont Grand, the same hotel where we met, to speak at a hospitality conference. I'll admit, walking back in there made my stomach knot. But I agreed. When I stepped up to that podium, I saw my old coworkers in the back, Maria, from housekeeping, even Tommy. I told the crowd about dignity, about looking beyond uniforms, about building workplaces that find and grow hidden talent. The applause was huge. But the moment that hit me was afterward, when Maria's daughter, a freshman in hospitality management, asked me what advice I'd give. "Don't let anyone convince you any honest work is beneath you," I told her. "And don't let anyone convince you any dream is above you." Even Tommy came over. He apologized, really apologized, and asked if I'd consult on their new staff development program. I said yes, not for him, for the people still working those halls. A few months later, on a crisp September morning, I walked down the aisle in the botanical gardens at Hudson University, where I'd once taught. Daniel and I said our vows in English and Mandarin. His parents cried. My sister whispered that she never thought she'd see me this happy again. Now we run programs all over the world. We travel, we teach, we fight for people who are underestimated because of their job, their accent, their background. And every time I think about where it all started, one man speaking a language no one around him understood, one manager too ignorant to see the answer standing right there, I smile. Because that's the thing about life. Sometimes the moment they overlook you is the moment you're about to step into the light. So tell me, if you were in my place that morning, standing there with a mop handle in your hand and a billionaire calling for help in a language you knew by heart, would you have stepped forward? Or would you have stayed invisible? And if someone judged you by your uniform, what would you do to prove them wrong?